Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at the gold standard polish and comparing its entire oopsie doodle pad system, the wool, the yellow, and the red, with a competitor's sort of the similar system. I think this one's a little less cut than the wool, but who knows, we'll see. And just sort of seeing what you get if you use their whole system, what kind of results you can get, what kind of correction, and how much each pad does on its own. We're using this car, real swirled hood. It's not white paint. And we're going to look at each section for each pad. This will be a blind test. I won't tell you who's who until the end, but I will have footage of them being used so you can see. But again, I'll show you that after because it'll be a dead giveaway. Yeah, basically, because these are about $10 a pad. These are Lake Country SDO pads, meant for any DA. So to see, because they're a little bit cheaper, to see how they do compared to the DIY pads and their system. And we will be dampening the pads with the rinseless wash solution for each set, for both sets of pads, because that's how this polish sort of works. And I think it works great. One thing to note though, if you have a polisher that does not free spin like that, then you should not do this, dampening the pads, because the way this is supposed to work is this back plate is supposed to rub against here, and I did the washer mod to space it out because it doesn't rotate as much as I'd like. And if you don't do that, this will not rotate enough to spit out the water after you rinse the pad and clean the pad out after each section. So if you've got one of those, this is a LHR 15ES, if you've got one of those or the 21 or one of the interference ones, will not want to do the rinsing, dampening the pad, because you just won't be able to spin it out enough. If you have forced rotation and stuff, you should be fine. Rotary is obviously fine, and any free spinning DA should be fine. But this one, I tried it without the washer mod, it doesn't do it. So food for thought. If you've got one of them, get the washer, then you can use this system. And after we're done the polishing, we're using their panel prep to strip back the panel and see exactly what's left. And the tape sometimes bleeds into the section when you're wiping it. So when the tape's pulled off, the IPA will take any kind of residue from the tape. It's just annoying. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so here is our hood. You've got 3 sections. I'm going to do light, medium, heavy. I left the heavy be a little bigger because I wanted to be able to see it, the effects a little better. But the center here will be control, so we can compare side by side who's better. Excuse me, I'm shaking this, I'm hand holding. But so there we go. You can see it is a swirly one. So the front, there's some chips and stuff too. Obviously, we are not fixing those, but this is what the hood will look like. So, yeah, we'll go from there. I will do the polishing, I will film it, and then we will discuss. And then I will show you as we discuss. But no looky as to who's who, so that you can, have a clearer, fairer judgment. All right, here we go. Okay, so we have finished polishing the 3 sections on each side. And again, I've taken the tape off and wiped everything down already. And I didn't film that because the pad marks from the waffle pads is a telltale sign compared to a flat pad. So couldn't show you that, unfortunately, but it has been done. And worth noting, if you are polishing cars and, slapping fat all over the place here, make sure you have no zippers, no buttons, just elastics. Okay, so we are now going to start inspecting the paint. Tape's been removed. It's been panel wiped twice. This is the control here in the middle, from here to here, here to here. And then we will look at each section where we have worked. So first section, driver's side. You can see a lot of the swirling has been removed. It is darker compared to the control. It is looking good. there's a little bit of a haze to it. And I don't know if that's something that's on the hood and really on the hood, but you can see it there, right? You see that little light trail? I've wiped it over many times. It's not going away. So we'll move on. The medium section, driver's side. And you can see there is a reduction in the amount of swirling. You know, it is much clearer, but there's that haze there still. So interesting to see. And then we'll go to the top, the very light pad. More swirls and deeper scratches showing. Still glossed a little bit, but it's not as much. Not as much as below. And again, this hood could have used maybe 2 passes, who knows. But yeah, it is clear. Like, there's a lot of clarity to it, but there's still that hazing. And there's still some deeper scratches. So let's move on over to the other side. So, control and compounding on the passenger side. And if you see, looks pretty clean. I'm not really seeing too many in the ways of trails. Some of that can be from the tape as well. The tape really does actually mess up your results when you're polishing. That's why it's really a pain in the butt to do test sections with polish, because the tape can leach and leave lines and residue. But you know, it's pretty clear there that a good reduction in the swirls. Like, I don't see really any swirls. There's just a little haze, but it's better than the other side. So pretty good, pretty good. Moving up to the medium section. Again, there's just this little bit of haze, but it's so faint. It is so faint, and it goes all the way through, even through the tape lines. So I'm not blaming the pads. And same with the other side. The hazing is in both sides. So who knows? But oh, sorry, I wasn't even aiming it properly. Yeah, the hazing is there on both sides. So it's weird that, you know, heavier pads and lighter pads, none of them can remove that hazing. But if you look at the control, you know, it's a good slight better too, even on this one. It looks quite good. Looks good. Like, there's not really much deep stuff. It cleaned really well. And then finally the light pad, which I can see a little bit more deep scratches, but not a ton. It did an okay job. It's darkened it. And you know, you get to your control, you can see that line. It looks pretty okay. But yeah, there is deeper hits, and the hazing again is still there. So yeah, that's the blind results. Let's get into the reveal and the conclusion. Okay, it's conclusion time for which side was which pad set. Again, using the same polish, the rinseless dampened pads, and the same panel prep to wipe it all off. Again, these all work within the same company. The pad's the only variable that's changing here. So we should have consistent performance. The pad should be the only thing that changes anything. So first things first, which side was which? The driver's side, so the right side, was DIY, and the passenger side was the Lake Country SDOs. Now, in my opinion, this pad, this thickness is just a little unstable, in my opinion, on a 15 mil orbit. Now, I've heard that the 25 mil balance is better, but I'm not going to buy a second polisher just to get a little bit better balancing on a pad that is technically designed for a rotary. But that was one thing. I noticed that this black pad to the red pad was just a little easier to control. It tipped a bit more, but that was it. It was still manageable. It was still very easy to use and forgiving. It didn't start around or anything like that. It was smooth. It was soft. It did the job. Results wise, I don't know if I should probably, between those two, I'd call it a tie. I think that they're both super soft. They're both not what you should one step with. So, you know, this and this probably is like, yeah, again, jeweling, finishing polish, or maybe wax application if that's what you want to do. Or their APP is another thing you could use that for, which is what I think both of those would work for, but the red pad is specifically made for the APP. So that's the adhesion promoter polish from C6 Ceramics, which is DIY detail, in case you didn't know. Moving on, yellow waffle to orange. This is a toughie because I thought the orange cut better. I think it had a better finish, and I think it was easier to, just more maneuverable. Again, this is a physically larger pad just because of its flare. But I thought the yellow waffle pad is a great one-step pad for a light correction. But I think if you're going to one-step for a bit more correction using this polish, use that guy. I liked it a lot, and there's a price factor here, which I will put on the screen at some point if I haven't already. These are cheap. They're $10 Canadian per pad for the 5.5, I believe. I just checked it. It is more than these. Again, I'll put the pricing on the screen in case I'm wrong. If not, I apologize. But yeah, I preferred this to this as far as cut. Handling wise, they're both pretty good. This one is fine. It doesn't dart around, doesn't anything like that. Orange guy from Lake Country, again, also felt fine. But price wise, you know, you're almost 2 to 1 sometimes. So that's those two. And finally, the heavier guys. This one was pretty good. I felt a little wobble. Maybe I didn't have it quite perfectly centered. I'm not going to blame the company for that. But it did cut hard. It did get rid of all the defects. There is hazing, but the hazing was on both sides, but there was less of that hazing on the Lake Country side. And it's just weird because these are new pads. This was brand new as the first time it was used. I just opened it. This was a brand new pad. This was a brand new pad. Just opened them for this video. I've had them for a while. I just never used them. This one's been used for one car, but I washed it all out and laundered it, and it's been fine. I don't know why that hazing was there, but it is. And this car's had a life. It used to live in a car share, so you can imagine what happened to it. The blue guy did cut quite well without the, I don't want to call them downsides, but without being a wool interfaced pad, which, you know, when it's brand new, it's going to fluff a little bit. That's what they do. That's normal, but it is something you have to deal with, something you have to clean up. And this one was smooth and steady, and just like the Lake Countries were smooth. They were really easy to handle. And I'm not saying the DIYs were worse, but they were no better. So under these circumstances, using this setup, I think these Lake Country guys, for that price, is a great start set. And if you do the pad washing, you only need maybe 2 or 3 of them, just in case you drop one or something like that, just to have a backup. But yeah, they work great. Same with the DIY pads. They did work good. The wool one it cut. The yellow waffle, I think it could use a little bit more cut for how, like, going from a wool to a foam. I think that foam needs to be more in line with what the orange can do. But the red and the black, they have the same amount of cut. They work. And again, the red is got a couple specific uses. The APP for C6 and a rotary application, which is what they initially made it for. So we aren't doing that. We are doing same machine, same polish, same prep, just changing pads to see if the DIY system is the right set of pads to go with their polish. I think you can make a good argument for this system, but from Lake Country here, but I am happy that I have both. Let's put it that way. And again, nothing was sent to me for this video, so I thought they were pretty good, and I think you can't go wrong either way, really. It just comes to availability and price, and currently for me, this one is priced better. But yeah, other than that, that's all I really got. I have to, throughout the week, go through and do this whole car. So I think I might try the Lake Countries and just give her a go and see how I get along with it. The roof is really bad, so yeah, other than that, that's all I've got for this one. There's a lot more coming. There's stuff en route, there's stuff in the works. So yeah, thank you again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.